Hey everyone, it's Isaac Smolden, the production manager over here at My House. Just giving everyone a heads up that today's episode is part 2 of a 2-part series with our guest. So if you haven't listened to part 1, go ahead and go back and listen to that before listening to this episode. Also a heads up that today's episode does have a trigger warning associated with it due to the graphic and personal nature of some of the events discussed within. Without any further ado, here is episode 3 of season 2 of My Voice. My Voice is a chance for those who have struggled with addiction, homelessness, depression, and domestic violence to have a candid conversation about their life experience, current situation, and future goals and aspirations. Every episode is conducted anonymously to facilitate a comfortable and safe place for guests to tell their story. My Voice is hosted by Mike Sisson, who works as a case manager at the My House facilities in Wasilla, Alaska. We now join a My Voice conversation, already in progress.
That's not the end of it, though.
So I just wanted to point that out, but let's keep going. So you have your kid, you're dealing with a lot of struggles. You're not stopping. You're continuing on, still drinking, I'm guessing, and still in kind of bad scenes. Mm-hmm. And then, so tell us about from then to now.
So I was in that toxic relationship, and I after having him, and I started spiraling even more further into drinking, I started becoming those things that I didn't want to become. You know, the things that I hated most about his dad, what I hated most about my mom and my dad, and I became those things. I became manipulative. I became a liar, a cheater. I was unfaithful. I didn't have the best intentions for anyone. I just cared about myself and what I was gonna do next, where I was gonna go next, and eventually, it was a little crazy after that. I was still on and off with his dad, but I think I was off. We weren't together for a while, and I moved in with my cousin out here, and I got a job at this restaurant, and ended up getting kicked out of my cousin's because my cousin wanted every single penny that I was making, and he wanted to control me, so I moved out. I moved in with my other cousin in Anchorage. And my coworker at the time lived in Anchorage, and so he offered to give me rides every day to work out here. And I was still drinking and partying and stuff, and every once in a while I would go out and drink with my coworkers and stuff, and I've drank with him a couple times, and till one night it was just me and him and his friend, and I blacked out, and he took advantage of me. And my boss didn't do anything about it because that was his partner. And 2 weeks later, I found out I was pregnant. I wanted to die. I didn't want to be here anymore. My son's dad said it was my fault.
Oh, man.
And Michelle Overstreet reached out to me without knowing anything was happening.
Wow.
she reached out to me asking me if I wanted to come back to the cafe.
Wow.
And that's when I just quit that job, you know. I had an investigation that happened. They couldn't do anything about it. They said both parties were intoxicated, and so there's no crime.
Oh,
So
sorry.
that man is still walking freely till this day, and no charge. So I came here, and I started working as the assistant manager again in the cafe. And Kira came with me to get an abortion, and which I'm truly grateful for her, because she's. I was just talking to Julia about her today, because Kira and I have been, you know, she's been there for me since a long time,
Wow.
and I'm so grateful for her. And
Yeah, she's pretty cool.
yeah. So she took me there, and you know, after that, I got my own place. I got my own duplex. I got into housing, Connect Tribal Council housing, affordable rentals. And I ended up quitting the cafe because the manager at the time and I didn't really get along. And I lost contact with my house for about 3 weeks, I think. And then they threatened to stop the cab rides because they were doing cab rides at the time. And that was my only transportation. And so I came in finally, and I broke down to Jim. And I was just like, you know, I was upset. And I flew because that's my survival mode. I always, whenever I'm in any kind of situation, I just want to leave. I just want to go. And so I talked to him and told him that I am trying to look for another job and I was struggling. And he mentioned NIT. And I got into NIT administration training and did that for 4 weeks with Abby. And it was really good. Abby and I, we were just having a blast, you know.
Oh, I bet.
In there, and we learned a lot of good things. There's still things that I've learned from there that I like to remember till this day, and because they made some good points.
Good.
And Joey Crum.
Yes, Joey Crum.
He's a great guy. He said some things that are just engraved in my brain.
Definitely a great guy.
Yeah. So it was really good. After that, I worked with 9 Star at the 9 Star building for a few months after that. And it was like about 3 months, I think. And then I got a job at Connect Tribal Council. And I was their housing administrator.
Awesome.
For a while. It was really good. I had fun with them. They are amazing. They're almost like family, pretty much. My son would come around sometimes, and he would be screaming and running down the halls. They just loved him, so it was really, really good. And then, but I was still in. Well, actually, no. Before all of that, when I was doing the NIT administration training, that year I got a DUI. Oh
wow!
I got my first DUI, and that's why I was getting rides from
cab rides.
No, rides from my coworker.
Oh.
So that all happened 1 year.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So another thing.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So yeah, I got a DUI. I was getting rides from my coworker. That happened with my coworker. I got a place, then got into NIT and treatment. So I was taking cab rides, going to drop off my son to daycare. Went to NIT for 8 hours, picked up my son, dropped him off at a babysitter's, went to ASAP treatment all in one day. And then I would pick him up and go home. through calves. I had to carry his diaper bag and his car seat and him all at once.
Jeez.
Yeah, it was so crazy and very overwhelming. And so I had to do ASAP for 3 months. I was sober for a good 4-ish months, 3-ish months, until I completed ASAP. And that's where I started getting back into drinking again. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That also happens a lot.
Yeah. I completed it. With that certificate, I just felt like I was fixed. I thought I was healed.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I could handle my drink again just because I had that certificate saying that I completed treatment. And I was wrong. I was so wrong. I went back. It slowly started to progress. I would smoke every now and then I would drink every now and then summer hit. Spring and summer hit, and then it all party every weekend, camping, going out, and all that. It all came back, and it was just all chaos. But I was still working, and I had my place, and then I ended up getting my license back. I got my license back, and I just bought a car. I bought my first car.
Wow.
On my own, and that didn't last long. About 3 months after I got my license back is today, this day 2 years ago. I got into an accident. I was contemplating if I should tell this or not, but I got into a really bad head-on collision with a tow truck driver, and there was a fatality. He didn't make it. That night, I was admitted to Highland Mountain Correctional Center. I did a 1.5 years in Highland. It wasn't the easiest thing to happen because I had everything ripped from under me just from thinking that I was okay. Mm-hmm. I wasn't. I was so devastated. It still hurts. It's still heavy on my heart.
Of course.
And it's something unforgivable, and that I had to learn to forgive myself. Being in Highland Mountain, I learned humility. I learned to hold myself accountable. I learned to let go of control. I felt like God placed me there to really sit me down. I needed to be sit down, and he sure showed it. And it was really hard. I lost my job, lost my car, lost my place. My sister had to move me out of my apartment. I lost my son. Couldn't see him. It was during COVID. At that time, we weren't having visits. Couldn't have anyone visit. And, after 3 months, I ended up getting a job in the greenhouse there. And that was like the best thing that happened, because it is so stimulating to work with plants, to dig your hands into soil. and to work hard and see all that hard work get paid off. They do an annual plant sale every year, and so in 2021 is when I started, and that whole spring through summer, I was working my butt off. We planted over 700 hanging baskets, over 300 floor pots, over 200 annuals, perennials, and vegetables.
Wow.
And all of that was for the plant sale. And that plant sale, we couldn't sell to the public that year because of COVID. So the officers sold, and we sold over $60,000
Wow.
worth of stuff for Highland. So, and after that, we had a big barbecue just for the people who helped, all the inmates who helped, and all the people who worked in the greenhouse there. So it was kind of good because you don't really get special treatment in jail.
Yeah, I'd imagine not.
So, and then, yeah, and I continued to work there, and eventually I got into IOPSAT. It's kind of like ASAP, intensive outpatient treatment. So, and that's, that whole time there, I was really reflecting on myself. I was still in a dark place, being away from family, being away from my support, not having anyone that I was super close to. But being the person that I am really helped in that situation because, Stacy just told me that I'm like a fresh of breath of air, which is so funny that she said that because I've heard that before. People has told me that in Highland.
A breath of fresh air.
Yeah, because regardless of everything that has happened to me, what I did, I still try to find the positive in everything. I try to be optimistic about everything. I find hope in the darkest of places. I try to be that light, because if you're just going to be angry, you're just going to make it even more darker, Mm-hmm. And I could be angry. I could be angry at myself and the world and everything, but I don't want to be. So it was really good. The treatment actually was supposed to be 3 months. It ended up being 6 months long because of COVID. We kept having to shut down in there.
Oh, wow.
Going on lockdowns wasn't the funnest because you're stuck with sometimes over 20 women in the same wing, and woman with woman is chaotic because all the hormones and everyone's just off the wall. And it was crazy. But, even through all that, I tried to stay positive. I really grew my faith in God, and I read a lot. I tried to stay busy. I talked to Linda. I try to talk to her every week. And I had some really, really tough times there. And anytime I did, I would write her a letter. She still has my letters. And I still have hers. And she really likes my writing, though. And she believes that I should write a book. I don't know, because just, through all that pain and trauma and everything, I still find a way to the light. And I feel like people should know that too, even if they're in a dark place, and because there is light. There's just one, there is that little shit of light in the darkest of places. You just have to believe that there is. And, it can grow if you water it. And so, yeah. And so I was there, and I got released on ankle monitor in June 4 days later, they brought me back to Highland.
Yeah.
As you remember.
I remember. I felt so awful because
Yeah.
I was like, it had to feel terrible.
Yeah, it was the worst feeling in the world because I was doing whatever I could to stay out, you know. I didn't mess up. I didn't get charged with anything else. My PO came and said that they made a mistake and released me 2 years early because you have to have 3 years or less to be released.
Wow.
And I have 5 years. And so...
Devastating.
Yeah. It went through 5 people to be approved. 5 people to be approved.
Wow.
And went through all of those people just for them to realize 4 days later after I got released. Even my PO felt so bad, my PO and the officers there, and like people that knew me there, they're like, "What are you doing back? What is going on?" They were, "What did you do?" I was like, I didn't do anything, and I had to be on lockdown for 2 weeks for COVID or quarantine. So I was in a house full of people who were in and out of Highland. There was a lot of people who were coming off drugs and alcohol, and it stunk there, and it's the worst. But
sounds awful.
It didn't last long that word got out, and everyone who knew me, my old boss, they all found out that I was there, and so my boss, she asked her supervisor, which is the officer who runs the greenhouse, if I could come back as soon as I get out of quarantine. And so I got right back into working in the greenhouse, which was really nice. And so I got right back into it, went straight back to work, and I was just working my butt off every day. And a month later, my PO came to me, and he was like, "You want to get back on ankle monitor?" I was like, "What?" He's like, "Found a loophole." And he found somewhere in the P&Ps where it says if offender shows rehabilitative progress, the chief officer or supervisor can override the decision and approve it, even if it's more than 3 years. So that's what they did. I got released a month after. I got sent back, and I've been here ever since. And there's been a lot of ups and downs, but today I am proud to say I'm 2 years sober.
Excellent. That is amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you. It's kind of been mixed feelings today because today is the date.
Yeah.
So, but, you know, whether the good or the bad, it's still a day that is unforgettable.
Yes.
So,
if you had to choose one moment or a person from my house that has been or was the most impactful in your journey and your story to this point, what moment or person would you choose?
I would say Linda. She's been there since the day I met her, you know? She knew me before all of this, all of the crazy stuff before getting pregnant with Sebastian. And, yeah, when my family wasn't there, she was there. She was a shoulder to cry on. When the visiting opened up, she made an appointment to come see me right away. And yeah, it's I'm truly grateful for her. and Michelle. Michelle's she fought for me. She fought hard for me when I got sent back.
Yeah, I was here. I remember she stormed around the office in the way that she usually does when something doesn't sit right with her. Mm-hmm. And yeah, she went to bat.
Yeah, so I'm truly grateful for her too. But, you know, overall, I'm grateful for everyone here. You know, every single person here has impacted somebody. And I don't know where I'd be without you guys, you know. This is my family. You know, this place has been more of a family than my family. I know that's shitty to say, but, you know, in times of need and really, really hard times, dark places, I've came to you guys, and it's never disappointed me, you know. I always felt loved and welcomed. And that's something that I'm super grateful for, and I'm so happy to be here working, and my hopes to be continuing working here is to influence my future interns for the greenhouse. And I want to be a peer for them and let them know that they're not alone and that there is a way out, you know, because I've been there. I've lived in a car. I've lived in housing. I've been to jail. And, like, I don't even seem like the person to go to jail, you know?
Nope, would have never guessed it.
So I just hope that my story can inspire somebody else that there's not an end to it, and there's always something new that can happen, always something better that can happen, regardless of how dark and hopeless it feels like.
Thank you for listening to today's episode of My Voice. For local services here at my house, please call 373-4357. That's 373-HELP.